Let's talk about the administration of President Bola Tinubu, the new president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it's 4 weeks since he came into power as the new president, and in the last 4 weeks, the administration has taken some far-reaching decisions that have both positive and negative impacts on the lives of Nigerians. Some of them have short-term impact, some of them have long-term impact. So let's look at the impact. Let's express our opinions on some of these decisions that have been taken by this administration. Some of them that we think that the government can do better, some of them that we think that the government has made the right decisions and they've done what I think is in the best interest of Nigerians. So before we start going into these decisions of this new administration, before we start analyzing these decisions, let me say that this is Fat Corner channel, FACT in uppercase and Corner in lowercase. And you can see our previous editions of our podcasts, our interviews, our talk show, videos on our channels on Facebook and also on YouTube. Once again, it's FACT in uppercase and Corner in lowercase. And my name is Gideon Ogunye. I'm the project lead of Fat Corner. So in the space of the 3 weeks, or let me call it 4 weeks, this new regime has announced the removal of petrol subsidy, the removal of the CBN Governor, the indefinite suspension of the CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, and the eventual arrest of the governor, of the CBN Governor, suspended CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele. The removal of the EFCC Chairman, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, and also the arrest of Abdulrasheed Bawa. The introduction of student education loan policy, or let me call it act, because it's been signed into law. Liberalization of the foreign exchange market, an appointment of 8 special advisor, secretary to the government, chief of staff to the president, new service chiefs, and among these 8 advisors that were appointed, we have the likes of Mr. Dele Alake, who has been working with President Tinubu since 1999. He was commissioner under Tinubu between 1999 and 2000. And we have the likes of Mr. Wale Edun, who has also been appointed, who has also been working with Tinubu since 1999. We have the likes of Nuhu Ribadu, who was appointed as the National Security Advisor and is among the service chiefs. We have the likes of Olubukola Arowolu, who has been appointed the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Adiza Bala Usman, Special Advisor on Policy Coordination, and we have so many other appointments. And when you compare this new administration with that of President, the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari, I think you would say that I can give pass mark to this administration with the way it has approached its appointment, especially its kitchen cabinet members, because it took Buhari about 6 months to make key appointments, to appoint his ministers and also his kitchen cabinet. But Tinubu has done better. I don't know whether we can call him Mr. Go Fast, because we used to call Buhari Mr. Go Slow, because Buhari never made his appointment on time. But Tinubu has approached that. So we can give him pass mark. Now, looking into the appointment, some people are saying there's not a lot of nepotism. The appointment is dominated by by a particular region. I don't want us to look into that. It will be a distraction to start looking into that at this stage. But what I want us to discuss on this podcast today is to look at a number of the decisions that this administration have made in the last couple of weeks, and sort of analyze these decisions and see the ones that we think that the president can do better, and the ones that we think that the president has made a good decision. I want us to start from the suspension. Or before I go, let me say that there is divided opinion about the decisions of President Tinubu, Bola Tinubu, in the last 4 weeks. There are some of his supporters, some of his trusted allies, some of his people are saying that he is the best president so far. For example, Mr. Femi Fani Kayode, former Aviation Minister in Nigeria, he said that no leader or president in the history of our country has effected so many positive changes and reforms and appointed so many credible, decisive, courageous, and effective people into key positions in his administration within 3 weeks of being sworn into office, as President Bola Tinubu has done. And what he said is that today, even his most ardent critics and those that bent over backwards to stop, to discredit, denigrate, humiliate, and destroy him during the presidential campaign are commending him. So this is what Mr. Femi Fani Kayode said. There's an headline of, I think, Vanguard, where Mr. Fani Kayode said, "Light now dispelling thick darkness. FFK praises Tinubu's performance in 3 weeks." Although this is the same FFK that have used all manners of derogatory remarks on Tinubu in the past. He has called Tinubu agent of darkness. There is nothing he has not called Tinubu. So now he's saying that he was foolish when he was dining with the pigs when he was attacking Tinubu, that Tinubu is the best thing to have happened to Nigeria. It remains to be seen in the next couple of months whether Tinubu is the best thing to have happened to Nigeria or not, or whether we can take Fani Kayode, what the words are coming from the mouth of Fani Kayode, whether we can take them serious or not. So we'll see how that goes in the next couple of weeks. So there are people that are analysts that are saying Tinubu is Baba go fast, that he has done quick reforms that have brought confidence into the economy, into Nigeria economy, and that investors will be happy to come and invest in Nigerian economy, what Buhari could not achieve during his own regime. But like I said, we shall see how this go in the next couple of months. So what I want to focus on is a number of the decisions he has made. I think I will start with the one on Emefiele, this suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I will start with that. And there are a couple of things that I think we need to talk about as regards that decision. Not that I want us to look into the legality of the suspension. I'm not interested in the legality of the suspension right now because I'm not a lawyer. So I want lawyers to look into whether this ex-CBN or suspended CBN governor has been suspended according to law and has been arrested and is under investigation, and also whether the suspended chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bawa, has been suspended according to the law or not. That is not what I want us to look at. What I really want to look at is that this issue of Emefiele, it looks like a cat and mouse game between the Department of State Services and Mr. Godwin Emefiele. And this is something that has been coming since 2022, he has been on the radar of the DSS over alleged terrorism financing, and that is what it's really it makes me to want to talk about this, because if the governor of Nigeria Apex Bank is involved in terrorism financing in Nigeria, is a very, very big thing. It's going to be a very terrible thing to have happened to Nigeria, that a government official of that status is alleged, is involved in terrorism financing. And this is what is of interest to me and to many Nigerians, I believe. We want to get to the root of the matter, and we don't want this Emefiele suspension investigation to be like the other ones that we'll see. For example, when Buhari came on board as the President Buhari, the immediate past president, came on board in 2015 as the president, the first action was to suspend, was to arrest the then National Security Advisor. I've forgotten his name now. And a lot of allegations were thrown into social media, into the media, that these are the evil thing that this man has done. He has taken the money budgeted for security, distributed it to PDP members, and all this money have been stolen. And at the end of the day, we did not see transparency in the prosecution of that NSC, Mr. Colonel Dasuki. We did not see transparency. We did not see the end result. So in the case of Emefiele, we want to get to the root of this matter. We want to see, and we are calling on President Bola Tinubu to get to the root of the matter. We want to actually see whether Godwin Emefiele was involved in terrorism financing, and we want to see him jailed if that allegation is proved to be correct, because we don't want a situation where it will just be normal media thing just to nail him, just because a lot of people are saying that this is personal vendetta, and this is what we don't want. We don't want the institutions in the country to be destroyed on the altar of politics. We want to be sure that when the DSS finish their investigation, they become transparent about it. Because one thing that, and many African leaders don't know, is that the electorate see elected and appointed officials in Africa, especially in Nigeria, as going there for their own selfish interest. People believe that they are not for the interest of the masses, they're not for the interest of the people. And they see, when they go after a government official, they see it as personal vendetta. They see it as things that have been motivated by other ulterior motives, that things that are not in the best interest of the people. So we want to be sure that the people that this administration has gone after, they have gone after them in the best interest of the people. Now, I heard that Mr. Emefiele has started mentioning a number of people that are connected to the financial and economic crimes he has committed against the Nigerian state. I learned that he's mentioned some traditional rulers, he's mentioned some judges and some other government officials. And what we expect is that this administration will do a thorough job. We go after everyone. We invite everyone that has been fingered in this crime, and we investigate them and bring justice to Nigeria. Because if people have damaged our economy, have made the life of Nigerians unbearable, what we want to see is a transparent prosecution, and we want to see justice. We want to see these people being brought to book. And I think this is what I want to see. This is what Nigerians want to see. So that's what I have to quickly say about Emefiele's arrest. Now, we don't have much time. I want us to go chap into some of the things. So I will go into the student loan. Now, this was one of the bills that President Tinubu has signed into law, student loan bill, which was signed into law. And the aim, according to them, is to enhance access to higher education for Nigerian students. The bill provides interest-free loans to students with a focus on addressing financial constraints that hinder educational pursuits. And when Dela Alake was talking about it, a presidential spokesman, he was talking to the State House correspondent. He said that according to the law, the loan is for students who need money to pay for school tuition fees for public students seeking higher education in any public institution. So in addition, he said all students seeking higher education in any public institution have an equal right to access the loan under the Act without any discrimination arising from gender, from religion, from tribe, from position, or disability of any kind. And according to him, he said students seeking to avail themselves of this facility must demonstrate evidence of being indigent student, that is, they are Nigerians. And the law also indicates applicants for this student loan will prove that they are indigent Nigerians, which is defined as those coming from family with an income of less than 500,000 per annum. And so this is where I will stop. So he's saying that people that are eligible to get this facility are those students that are coming from family that has an income of less than 500,000 per annum. So there is an organization called Foundation for Investigative Journalism. They've done some analysis on this Student Loan Act, and I think that I align with what they have said. And this is what I have also said in a number of forums, that this Student Loan Act is not going to work. And let me say that I've seen the publication of the Academic Staff Union of University, ASU, which have kicked against the student loan as something that will destroy the Nigeria educational sector. There's another body that have kicked against this student loan. Workers and Youth Solidarity Network has rejected it as well, and a number of economists have expressed concern over it. Now, let me go into what Foundation of Investigative Journalism have said about this loan. And they said in the title of the analysis that it is easier to be Nigeria's president than to get to the student loan. It is easier to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria than to get the student loan. So the chief among the talking points in the analysis has been the requirement for obtaining a loan as stipulated by the Act. You can't apply for the loan if your family earn up to 500,000 a year. And what that means is that if husband and wife earn minimum wage of 30,000, the income for that family will be around 760,000 naira a year. That means the child from that family is not eligible for that loan. So section 14 says students applying for loan under this act must apply as provided under the section 17 of this act on satisfaction of the following condition. A, applicant must have secured admission into any of the Nigerian universities, polytechnic, college of education, or any vocational school established by the Federal Republic, federal government, or the government of any state of the federation. Applicant's income or family income must be less than 500,000 per annum. Applicants must provide at least two guarantors, and each of the guarantors shall be a civil servant at level 12 in the service, lawyer with at least 10 years post-call experience, judicial officer, or justice of peace. So, for the federal government to loan education, to give education loan to prospective students for a period of a year, the prospect must first secure admission into a government-established institution, show that their family earn 499,999 and 99 kobo annually, and then get guarantors, and that these guarantors must include senior civil servant who is closer to retirement than entry level, a lawyer who is a senior advocate of Nigeria or is eligible to be one, and a judicial officer or justice of peace. So what this foundation has done is to just juxtapose the requirement against the constitutional requirement to contest for the office of the president. According to the section 131 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, only one only needs to be a Nigerian citizen who is 35 years or older, a member of a political party, and able to convince the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) that they can read and write. That's all you need to be president of Nigeria. But if you are to be a beneficiary of Student Loan Act, your family must not earn up to 500,000. You must get a guarantor, a lawyer that is a senior advocate of Nigeria, or who is eligible to be one, who has practiced for 10 years, a judicial officer, justice of peace, a senior civil servant that is at level 12, close to requirement, than somebody that's entry level. So this foundation is saying that it's rather easier process to qualify. It's easier to qualify to contest the nation top job than it is to qualify for this loan facility. Because if your family income is just 41,000, I'm not sure you can get, 41,000 a month and less than 500,000 a year. I'm not sure you can get any guarantor, because the guarantor will look at your spending power. They will look at your economic power to pay back the loan. You don't have that power to pay back the loan. If your family income is 500,000, you cannot get a level 12 office civil servant, or a lawyer at SAN level, or a judicial officer to sign. So the Loan Act is something that should be thrown away, and that is based on the analysis of this foundation, which I agree with completely, that there is no way that anybody can get that loan. Section 15 says a student disqualified from accessing the loan if it's proven to have defaulted in respect of any previous loan granted by any organization, has been found guilty of exemplary practice by any school authority, is convicted of a felony or offense involving dishonesty or fraud, he has been convicted of drug offenses, or any of the parents have defaulted in their respective defaulted in respect of student loan or in any loan granted to the person. Now, a student is qualified if that person has committed any of these things mentioned. Going by this provision, if President Tinubu was a prospective student from a family earning below 500,000 naira annually, he would be ineligible for a loan, because in 1993, Tinubu forfeited $460,000 to the U.S. government as part of drug trafficking case, and the later ruling, according to this foundation, later ruling by Justice Olukayode, the current CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria, while serving as the Supreme Court Justice, declared that forfeiture means the loss of a right, privilege, or property because of a crime. So while Nigerian Constitution says that such conviction would only prevent one from contesting for office for 10 years, the student loan is silent on the statute of limitation, meaning that if Tinubu will have been able to run for president after 2023, because this thing happened in 1993. So from 2004, after 2003, from 2004, he will be able to apply for student loan if his family earned less than 500,000. But no student will be able to apply for it, because the Loan Act did not say that after 10 years, whatever conviction you might have or your family might have, you can apply for the loan after 10 years. The Act did not specify when the clauses in Section 15 expires. So it means that if you have your family, if your parent has ever defaulted in student loan or in any loan, whether it's 50 years ago, you cannot access the loan. So that is what the Act is saying. So that is that on student loan. I think we should move to fuel subsidy. So the subsidy has been removed. I think there is a united opinion on why the subsidy has to go, because all the leading presidential candidates in the last election, President Tinubu, when he was the candidate of APC, Peter Obi, the candidate of Labour Party, and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the candidate of PDP, they all agreed that subsidy have to go, because they believe that it's an organized crime. Is some rich people that are getting the money, the subsidy, the government can no longer finance it. So I think Nigerians sort of have, maybe majority of Nigerians have a kind of unanimous opinion that subsidy regime have to go. But as in the gone now, so on the day of the inauguration, President Bola Tinubu announced that subsidy is gone, and that threw panic into the market. And Nigeria, responding to this, started with panic buying, and that resulted into crisis. And now the price is about 300. We have an increase of about 300%, which has made life of Nigerians more miserable, pushed more people into poverty, increased inflation, and makes life unbearable for the people. But I want to align myself with the opinion of Amnesty International on this particular topic. So what is Amnesty International saying? Is that, look, responding to this Nigerian looming fuel shortage crisis caused by the removal of government subsidy, Issa Sanusi, the acting director of Amnesty International Nigeria, said that President Bola Tinubu's decision to remove fuel subsidy has left millions of Nigerians terrified about the knock-on effect that we have on their daily lives. And many are concerned that they would be unable to meet the cost of education, food, and healthcare. The government is here to suggest any ways to mitigate the impact of this decision for people on low incomes. And why all countries are required to eventually remove all fossil fuel subsidies to meet their human rights obligations in the context of the climate crisis, they should not do so in a way that undermines the ability of people on low incomes to secure their rights to an adequate standard of living. It is therefore vital that the removal of the subsidy is accompanied by social cushioning and protection measures. And this is where the administration, and which many people will agree with me, and you can drop your comments on the comment section if you don't agree with me. So this is where I think that the administration of Tinubu has failed. So they have announced removal of subsidy, but they've not done anything on social cushioning, on palliatives, on protection measures to protect the low-income earners, to protect people from poor families in the country. I don't see anything this government has done, and I don't see any policy paper they've come up with. I don't see. So I think that they should have a kind of a direction on what they want to do and come up with a clear-cut policy paper that shows that this is how we want to protect the less privileged. This is how we want to protect people on low income earners, families that are not earning up to 500,000 naira a year. So what Amnesty International is saying is that Nigeria should not have to pay the prices of decades of political and economic mismanagement of the subsidy scheme, because some people have mismanaged this scheme. We've been talking about it as organized crime. Who are the people in charge of this crime? Who are the people that have benefited from this economic mismanagement, from these financial and economic crimes? And that's what I was saying when I was talking about the arrest of Emefiele, that people that have committed crime against the Nigerian people needs to be arrested and prosecuted. And this is what a responsible government must do to show that he has the best interest of the people at heart. Because the people want to see punishment for bad behaviors, which they believe will serve as deterrent to others. But when you protect the rich, you protect the people that have mismanaged our economy, the people that have committed economic and financial crimes against the Nigerian state, and you don't go after them, the people will not trust that government. And this is a government that is, in my opinion, lacking in legitimacy. A lot of people believe that the election that brought this current administration into power was a sham election, was a flawed election, and the case is still being decided in the courts. And I think that the only way this government can show the people that is serious and is ready to prioritize their needs, is ready to take the opinions of the people serious, is to go after people that have committed economic crimes against Nigerians, against Nigeria, and prosecute them and recover money from them. So what Amnesty International is saying is that Nigerians cannot be made to pay to pay the price of decades of political and economic mismanagement of subsidy regime. The authorities must finally respond to the long-standing demand by civil society and parliamentarians to investigate the fuel market chain and hold accountable all those involved in smuggling, in hoarding and subsidy scam, regardless of their rank or status. The Nigerian authorities must urgently put in place measures to protect the rights of people most affected by the removal of the fuel subsidies and prioritize addressing widespread hunger, higher unemployment, and the rapidly falling standard of living. So that's what policy, and that's what Amnesty International is saying about policy, about this fuel subsidy policy. Now let's talk about security, I think. In the first week of Tinubu, I saw a report on Punch newspaper. Let me see if I can share it. And it's saying that 72 people have been killed. 72 people have been killed. So this report is saying 72 people killed, 12 kidnapped in Tinubu's first week in office. So at least 78 Nigerians have been killed and 12 abducted in violent attacks across the country since President Tinubu took oath of office. The incident happens in Rivers State, in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in Ogun State, in Sokoto, and the Federal Capital Territory. This was contained in data obtained from the Nigeria Security Tracker, a project of the Council of Foreign Relations. There are some other reports. Another one is saying that in the space of 3 weeks, about 120 Nigerians have lost their lives to violent crimes in the country. And I think this is what all Nigerians, they want President Tinubu to take decisive action on. Yes, he has appointed his service chiefs, but Nigerians want to start seeing results from now, because when Buhari was in government, it appeared like people have sort of rationalized as normal massive loss of lives in the country, because it appears like nobody was in charge, the security chiefs were not in charge, President Buhari was not in charge, so people were being killed, massacred in their homes, kidnapped. No single state was secured, fully secured. I would say no single local government. The insecurity was on another level. Now it's 4 weeks of President Tinubu, and we've not seen any decisive action. We've not seen any response by the security agencies to stop the spate of kidnapping, of violent attacks in the country. And Nigerians are asking questions that when are we going to start seeing the decisive action of government to crack down on insecurity in the country? And this is very important. And I think I'm speaking the minds of Nigerians. Lastly, before I go, so I've talked about the student loan. I think it's not going to work. I think the government needs to go back to the drawing board and come up with something else. And I would say they should come up with student grants instead of student loan. So just as ASU has mentioned, we've talked about Emefiele's suspension and arrest. And what we are saying is that the administration needs to go after the people that were involved in whatever crime that Emefiele must have committed. And we've talked about the appointments, they are on point, and they have been done at the appropriate time. And I think that, so the government needs to now, the president needs to now send his ministerial list to the National Assembly so that we can have a full cabinet in place, and then we know who to criticize when things start going wrong, so that all of this criticism will not be coming directly to the president. We've talked about the subsidy removal, that yes, we all agree that it has to go because it's an organized crime against Nigerians. Some people are smuggling subsidized product out of Nigeria to neighboring countries, and it appears that the government have not been able to do anything about it in the last maybe since the subsidy regime started. So, but what we are saying is that we should have a way to take care of low-income earners, to take care of poor people. So what is the direction of the government on this? What is the policy of the government on this? We've not seen anything, and we are expecting that the president will come up with something to address the concerns of poor Nigerians. And now we are talking about security. Nothing has been done. People are still being killed, people are still being kidnapped in every part of the country, shown by different reports, and we're expecting that the new service chiefs. I was listening to the interview of the new Inspector General of Police, and I was impressed. He gave a courageous opinion that he's a lion and he will go after all these criminals that are making the country unlivable. So we expect action now. So not just media publications. We expect actions on the floor. I think the last thing I would like to talk about is the failure of Buhari to join other leaders on the economic panel, other leaders on stage to discuss economy in Paris summit. So he failed to join other leaders in that panel, which is a very, very disappointing and embarrassing thing to Nigerians, because this is the first official engagement of the president outside the shores of Nigeria. This is the first summit that Tinubu will be attending in the capacity of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Nigeria wants a leader that can represent them, the leader that can articulate his opinion, that can articulate his thoughts on issues. They don't want a leader that is sending people to represent him in discussions that people are expecting his own direct opinion, because the ambassador that he has asked to represent him in that panel is not the president. Nigeria did not vote for him, and he can't speak for the president. Nigeria wants to hear what the president, the world wants to hear what Nigerian president's position is on the economic prospects of Nigeria and the economic prospects of Africa. So this is what Nigeria wants to see. Nigeria doesn't want to see a president. And this is the same thing that Tinubu did in Chatham House when questions that were directed at him, he delegated those questions to some other people, to the surrogates, to answer those questions. And some of us raised concerns about this practice. I think it's wrong. I think it's not good. I think the president should prepare to speak, to articulate his opinions on issues in the global community, and not delegate people to speak for him. So this is the last thing I'm going to say. Please drop your comments. Once again, this is Fat Corner Talk Show, FACT in uppercase, Corner in lowercase. Until we meet again, thank you very much.